clip in here. So here's him and Jesse Waters, and now they're talking about minimum wage because these guys know so fucking much. So here we go. Minimum wage. What do we think about it?
Oh, I'm scared.
Story to go from the bottom to where you are now. That's pretty insane.
Thank you. Like I said, I'm just good at not getting fired.
But literally from the basement to the...
But you know what, though? To me, like when you hear stories of the empires that were built, capitalism back in the days, you know, McDonald's and all these guys, they used to say, the guy that eventually runs the company later on comes from the bottom and makes his way to the top. These are by far the best stories to hear about. Companies nowadays, it's hard to find guys like Jesse that stick around and eventually get their opportunity. You do your...
Okay. There are a couple reasons that he's already fucked up here. Yeah, that was somewhat common in the 20th century, the last century. But you got to understand, prior to that, most people didn't go to college. And now with technology and the way things are moving, you almost have to have a college degree to get those executive positions because you have to be able to keep up.
Right.
So you have to be fairly well educated. No, a lot of these companies, they do not have guys with high school diplomas running the company. Usually the guy running the company has a graduate degree at least, or the woman running it, right? So and on top of that fact, you're talking about pre-globalization. So it used to be in the 90s, right? And before that, you know, well, even before that, let's go back to the 50s when he's talking about. The 50s, we go apply for a job, right? Well, I'm only really competing against other white guys for those kinds of jobs. So a very small pool of people. And then after the 90s, it's okay, well now I'm really only competing against guys in general. Because women were still trying to break into the management position in the 80s and 90s, right? Now it's globalized. Now it's everybody, plus women, plus people from other countries that they're bringing over here. Because they're bringing in talent from Asia, from India, from Europe, right? So now everybody's competing for jobs. I'll give you a great example. My father was a police officer, and he told me, like, yeah, when I applied, there were like 7 applicants. 7 people applied for that job, right? For one job. Okay, I applied for a police officer. There were over 8,000 applicants. Completely different world, right? So it's a different market. It's just a different world. So he's missing that. But part of what causes that whole thing is people don't stay as long because the wages suck. So you're not going to stay if you can get a better job somewhere else. And back then, that wasn't really the case. And you got pensions and shit, so you didn't want to leave. Now you don't have any of that. There's no incentive to stay. That's what he's missing. So, but they're going to get in here and fuck it up worse.
Part, you keep improving, you see when things open up, you keep getting there, you keep showing up, you keep doing your thing, and then all of a sudden, holy shit, you're the face. And then what happened is all of a sudden, boom, I just did my part and eventually got my opportunity. Congrats on all that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, holy shit, all of a sudden after 30 years. That's just how it happens. You hear it all the time, right?
Truly, it's a big deal.
I really appreciate it.
And I want to wrap up with California, and then we can finish off and talk about the increase in prostate cancer in guys in their early 40s that are single. But we'll skip that part. But let's talk about California. So here we go with California. So California businesses take on Gavin Newsom over tax hikes. This is kind of interesting. Tom, I'm going to come to you first, and then I'll come to Jesse about the restaurant stuff as well. So California businesses take on Gavin Newsom. A coalition led by California Business Roundtable is actively challenging Governor Newsom and Democratic lawmakers over tax hikes in California. The proposed Taxpayer Protection Act, requiring a 2/3 voter majority for local tax increase and rollback recent hikes, reflects a significant shift akin to 1978's Proposition 13. Rob Lapsley's president of Roundtable emphasized the urgency. The business community is fed up. About times you guys did something, and they recognize that if they don't do it, nobody will. Proponents argue escalating taxes are driving businesses away. Governor Newsom, however, warns of dire consequence, stating the proposal would decimate funding for basic services such as trash collection and firefighting, highlighting potential budgeting hurdles. Local officials feared the initiative's passage could revoke crucial tax increases like Walnut Creek's half-cent sales tax, endangering projects like additional police officers and library hours. While this is happening, New York Post comes with a story. 2 days ago, same day, Governor Newsom, the restaurant he owns, offering jobs at $16 an hour, despite new state laws, are $20 an hour for workers. So Plump Jack Cafe, a restaurant partly owned by Gavin Newsom, faces backlash for advertising a part-time busser position at $16 an hour, despite the new state law mandating a $20 hourly wage for fast food workers, despite Newsom's decision.
Okay. So let's get into that real quick. So, fast food workers get 20, right, in California. However, a part-time busboy, you can get away with whatever it is, 15 or whatever it is in California. So the thing is for that to apply, you have to be a full-time worker, right? For part-time, positions, you're not doing that. And the idea is they don't want to steal away too many of these entry positions from younger people, because if you put the minimum wage up to higher to like 20 or 25, you're going to get people in their 20s and stuff that are taking those jobs, and it takes it away from a lot of the younger people who might be using that as a starting position, right? So that's part of what it is. So his restaurant's not doing anything wrong necessarily. I get the optics look kind of stupid when you think about it, but when you understand it, he's not really doing anything weird or unusual here. But they're kind of bitching about it. It's just a weird analysis of this because it's not really the situation. As far as the tax thing, the problem is they're having problems paying these firefighters trash and whatnot, and they need to up the taxes, and that's what they've done, right? The other thing about it is these business owners are bitching, and they can't have it both ways. You can't sit there and bitch that there's not enough police, or that there's a problem getting my trash, or there's problems with electricity, there's problems with the internet or whatnot in the infrastructure of the city, right? You can't fix the potholes on my street, but I don't want to pay for it. I'm sorry, you pay those taxes for those benefits. It's like in Portland, in my business, we pay transit tax, right? And why? Because it's important for workers to have easy transit, so they can get to the fucking job that I'm paying them to do.
I was going to say, people want their employees to actually be able to get to their positions. That's, wow, crazy.
Right, but the owners I don't want to pay for it. And we'll get into sort of the economics behind that, to running a business and how that works in a second, because this is just stupid. So.
This engagement from day-to-day operations following his election as governor in 2018, his businesses jobs listing drew criticism from Republican Assembly member Joe Patterson, who questioned the inconsistency, pointing out the $20 wage requirement while fast food chain.
So he skips over that. People are criticizing who? One Republican.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Your opponents aren't always going to say nice things about you. It's just one Republican.
That's
said
not
it.
the way the world works. Not the way the world works.
I love that though. Trump does that too. All the Republicans, the conservatives, people are saying, "Yeah, because you're fucking telling them that, you dipshit." People are questioning the election because you told them it was rigged, not because it is.
Well, and people say a lot of stuff. Some people who are saying things know stuff, and some people who are saying things don't know anything. So you kind of got to wade through that too to see if it matters.
Yeah. Well, they do that shit too, where it's like, I could sit there and go, Lacey, the moon is made out of green cheese. Did you know that? Because people are saying it's made out of green cheese. When I'm talking about, I just said that. Me is people. It's bullshit.
Then you told the person, and then they might have said it, which means like actual people, plural, said a thing.
Right.
Does it make it have
true?
more or less merit? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Like Burger King in LA raised minimum menu prices to accommodate the increase. The wage gap raises concerns about affordability, et cetera, et cetera. Tom, your thoughts on what's going on with Gavin Newsom in California?
Well, look, bad policies have consequences, and bad leadership, sometimes it comes home to roost. We know, at least half of America is willing to admit, Gavin Newsom is a duplicit politico coming out of the Pelosi crime family who desperately wants to run for president. And he's been trying to make himself the shadow over the last year, just in case somebody falls down the stairs. And now we find out that he owns a business, and they're not even in compliance with the populist movement that he went out on the $20 an hour.
Okay. So here's the point. This is why it's so funny. We're the business guys. We know what we're talking about. There's no fucking analysis here. There's no thought process. We just don't like Gavin Newsom. He's bad, he's horrible, he's a bad businessman, and he's not complying with the law. Well, no, he is complying with the law. You guys just didn't fucking understand it. You read one article from Fox News and then... Jesus Christ. So it's all bullshit. Where's the analysis here? Why is this terrible? Yeah, businesses are bitching about it. They're always going to bitch about it when you raise their costs. Everybody bitches when you raise their costs.
At all.
Yeah.
Right. Nobody likes that.
That's just how it goes.
That's just sort of natural. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There's nothing sexy or exciting going on here, but they're making it sound like he's corrupt or doing something corrupt, when no, he's completely in compliance with the law. And they have an increased tax because they need the revenue, and businesses are bitching about it. Okay. Is this new? I mean, is this like a new thing? Oh, Jesus Christ. It's like the oldest story of the book. They're acting like it's something new.
Our rage. And then it's not just a group of businesses. And this was a Wall Street Journal story that the Daily Mail picked up. But this came out of the Journal. It's the California Business Roundtable. That is one of the largest business groups, and it is largely independent. There are Republicans, Democrats, and independents that are business owners that are part of the Business Roundtable. It leans conservative, but it's got a very big tent there, and they are all coming back to the state.
It's a big tent. It's all different point. I mean, it leans conservative. So it's conservative. It's conservative business owners. It's fucking... he contradicted what he said. Oh, see, it's a big tent. It's open, but it's mostly conservative.
Sometimes I wonder when these people say these things that either don't make sense or directly conflict with the thing they just said. I sometimes wonder if they realize it. Like, do you know that these things don't go together? It's sort of like, are you trying to lie, or are you stupid? And stupid is way more mean word than I mean, but
Right.
But I can't tell. Like, do you know what you're doing and you're just hoping that we don't follow you, or do you have, like, you just don't understand?
Yeah. Well,
You know?
you know what I think it is? It's that whole... We talked about that with the George Orwell thing the other time with Marjorie Taylor Greene. And that was the quote from Orwell. It's the idea of having two contradictory ideas and accepting them both. Right?
Right.
It's independents and Democrats and Republicans and everything, but it leans conservative. It's not conservative, but it leans conservative. It is a duck, and it's not a duck. It's the Schrodinger's cat of political leanings. Oh, fuck. We'll get into this. It's so stupid.
Saying, look, all these tax increases, 0.5% on this, 0.5% on this, disability tax on here. Anybody that's worked there has seen it. And now they're coming back and saying, hey, there's a revolt. And by the way, the revolt's not coming out of nowhere. These are the remaining businesses. These aren't the ones that have closed and people have left the state. So it's all coming home to roost for Gavin Newsom. He deserves these headlines that he's getting right now. And if people are paying attention, this is the guy that wants to be president.
Jesse.
All right. Here's the other one. This is the one that fucking cracks me up. So he's saying, well, look, these are just the remaining businesses. I'm sorry, has there been an exodus of businesses from Los Angeles that I'm not aware of? Because I read the Wall Street Journal. It's mostly conservative. I read the Bloomberg. I read Finance. I read Business Insider. I read The Economist. Nobody's talking about this exodus from California because of taxes.
Don't you think we would have seen like a whole bunch of articles and things on that? California, mass exodus, blah, 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 blah. Like, I feel like there'd be a lot of headlines going on.
There'll be a lot of data saying, look, these taxes are driving businesses away. But it's not happening. And once again, it's stupid. It's like with Kevin O'Leary talking about, oh, people are leaving New York and businesses aren't going to want to do business in New York. How many people in New York? 40 million? Something ridiculous. Oh, yeah, businesses are going to leave that market. I'm sorry. How many people in Los Angeles County? Los Angeles County is like one of the biggest counties in this country. I don't think there's an exodus of people there. And I'm sorry, you're running a business there, you're gonna, if you're even remotely smart and you can get it going, you're gonna be successful. You're gonna make a lot of money. Oh, now I have to pay more tax. What does that really mean, though? So I'm gonna tell you.
That means you made more money.
Well, it could mean. It also, what they're worried about is this. So if you raise the taxes or you raise minimum wage, right now my costs have gone up. So I have to raise prices, or I have to cut employees, which would lower my productivity and eat at my bottom line. Raising prices could potentially cost me more. Or I have to just take less money for myself as the owner. Now, typically what happens is the owners will raise prices a little bit, but they'll take a little bit less money for themselves. But what you find out is with that kind of more people have more money, they get more business and more customers, and they're more productive, so they end up making more money in the long run. And that's what all the studies have shown. We'll jump into one here in a little bit. But every time we've done this, that's kind of what happens. You don't see a significant, you see some pain for like maybe a couple months, and then that's about it. And then everything works out. And everybody just goes along with it. But they're talking about it like it's a fucking end of the world thing, and there's nothing, they're not giving you anything to show that. It's all speculation. So, it's just horseshit.